Hey guys, thanks for joining me tonight. I just finished watching Monday Night Football. I'm actually a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and it kind of sucked that we lost, but that is okay. Uh, I'm ready for some more Fitz magic, but it just didn't happen. But I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about Bitcoin and what I'm doing with some spare Bitcoin in terms of buying some alts. Pretty excited, and I think it's going to go pretty well in the long run. The last time we were at 6,400-ish, I probably grew my portfolio by about 10% in BTC terms. So there's definitely some alts to kind of boost your portfolio value, and they're definitely out there. So we just got to hunt them, got to find them, got to trade them right. Uh, However, BTC Bitcoin is still the top dog, the big mama, the grand kahuna. So we have to, plot out its course a little bit. So here I have Trading View up right here. I think the big story, you're going to see the bears come out again. Shorts have been creeping back up. Their story has been and will continue to be this descending triangle I painted right here with the green line. The bottom of the triangle, you can easily draw it. I actually like a line chart, usually better than candles, depending on what I'm using it for. But if I'm just trying to visually see what's going on, the candles, the line chart's a bit easier for me. So that's the story that they're pointing towards. We're making lower highs, and it's just gradually getting worse. We're hitting kind of the very tip of the triangle here. However, my point here is if you look at the volume at the very end, what we've just experienced the last few days, the volume is basically nil compared to what we've seen in previous sell-offs. So that's telling me that there's not much push down on price in terms of quantity of sellers. Now, some would say, and I actually saw this on Twitter, that, okay, low volume sell-off means there's not much pushback and the price can easily fall. That I understand that theory, although I disagree. I think it's more potent when a move is made with high volume. Now, the other side of the coin with the low volume sell-off is we've seen shorts decline over the past handful of days. Those shorts declining were actually buying to cover their shorts. Perhaps once that dried up, there just wasn't much buy volume. I get that argument. Again, I respectfully disagree. I think the volume decline is certainly something to note here, and I'll actually kind of drill in. So let's go in a little bit here, and what you can see here, the last few days, it's me. Ads are popping up. You can see the volume. These red bars are very, very small, both compared to the green daily bars. This is daily returns, by the way, or daily bars. But more importantly, compared to these big red bars you see over here. So this, and even further back in, say, mid or early August, you can even go back into July. It doesn't really matter. These red sell-off bars we've seen over the past couple of days have been very, very small. So, but as you know, I like to drill in a bit deeper. So let's kind of go into minute by minute action here. So what we could see here is you can actually see the sell-off occurred in literally just a few minutes of volume. You had this right here at, I don't know if this is my time zone or UTC or what, but basically looks like not quite 24 hours ago, you had a big sell volume. You had another one, but neither one really corresponded to price declines. That you had another one over here. Other than that, there really wasn't much action. So everything we've seen today is really jammed into 3 whole minutes. That's kind of fun. But then just kind of pulling back a little bit in terms of what does this volume mean in terms of the grand scheme of things. If we just went back, that's like 2 days ago, there's actually a bigger red volume candle, not candle, sorry, volume bar a couple days ago, corresponding to this sell-off that took us from around 66.90 down to 66.39. So basically the volume is pretty weak. So that's one reason why I think we're still okay. Now, more importantly, as you guys all know, I am pretty rock solid on this support at 6,000. Whether you want to call it 58 or 62, doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's been tested, it's held up, but more importantly, over the past couple times, it hasn't even really been tested. We've wicked down and immediately got pushed back. So there's a lot of demand that's still waiting to buy, whether you're 5,800, 59, 6,000, 6,100, all that. There's plenty of people that are waiting for their opportunity. So if it does happen, I expect the same old where we see a pretty quick wick and bounce back, kind of right back into the low to mid 6,000s. And I've said many times, I'm a fourth quarter bull. We have a lot of good things coming out. So it seems incredibly risky at this point in time to short, especially if you're shorting for a longer time horizon or a lower leverage short. The reason why is, I'm seeing the downside maybe 6,200, 6,100, and that's if you can catch a good sell order on a wick, where the upside, we can easily get back to 67, 68 in a day or two. And good news, a good move, we could easily get up to 7, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4 within a week or two. It wouldn't shock me. I'm not banking on it by any stretch, but the point is the reward is much higher than the downside at this point in time. Now, if you want to do 100x levered short, that's a different story. You can make some bank off a $20 move, but I'm in the camp that's pretty much gambling. So good luck with that. And then also something I posted earlier today, I think is very important to know, that some of you probably weren't around in November, December when Bitcoin moved up over 200%. Now, many of you might think it went up 220% in a very consistent fashion, like day by day, just went up, a few percent a day or whatever it is. That's actually not the case. It was actually very volatile. It had plenty of big down days, and actually had much bigger down days than what we just faced. We actually had a day during that move, about call it like five week span. We had a day where we were down over 8%. We had another day where we were down 7.5%. Another day we were down 5.5%. Then we had a handful of days where we were down about 2%. So yeah, we were going up a lot, but in between that, we had some major down days. So the point is, one down day here and there shouldn't remove you from your 2, 3, 4 week thesis, or especially not like your 2, 3, 4, 5 month thesis. So just keep that in mind, unless you're trying to catch $20 move off 100x leverage. Don't lose sight of the ball. So just keep that in mind. So what am I doing right now? I'm actually rotating into some bigger cap alts for the most part. So let me pull up my model here for you guys. So just give me a sec. All right, so we're back up. So what am I doing here? So during the day, I've tried to keep you guys up to date in terms of what I'm buying, what I'm selling. So my holdings are about as 100% transparent as possible. It's kind of dangerous because I felt like I got front run a little bit today, but who knows? It could just be my eyes playing tricks on me. But either way, so during the day, I sold some Bitcoin, and I had a good chunk of that. So as it pumped up, I actually got some capital, and I've had some capital left over from a past couple of days. So about a quarter of my portfolio is already in Bitcoin. So the question was, once I ran this, what do I do? And I already had a lot of coins that I'm holding. So I had a couple I could sell, and but I just figured, what, let's kind of put the money to work that I have and just kind of let the rest ride at this point in time. So what I'm buying, I bought some Cardano, and I mentioned kind of big cap alts mainly because they should provide a little bit more protection. but also the big cap alts that fell a lot or haven't pumped a lot should actually provide even more protection. So things like Cardano, IOTA, or my kind of two I kind of plowed into. I also still own some ontology that kind of fits that same bill, and some Qtum. I still own some of that. I actually put a couple small orders in there to kind of boost that up. Also, bought some more, not more, but new loop ring. You can see that in the top 10% of my model. I've owned that off and on. It's done pretty well for me. I kind of like it, so I have no problem owning that. And I also still own Ethos. So that's kind of gone up and down for me, but I still own a healthy bag. And I actually, since I felt like I was getting front run a little bit, I decided to wig out and I bought some salt. Not sure if I'm going to be too happy with that. But kind of going down to this, you can still see some coins I own. Pundi, still own that. Golem, I own some of that. And I'll get into my complete holdings in a few. But right now, I think if you're looking to buy any altcoins, and it's not a bad time to buy, anytime Bitcoin's in the low 6,000s, you're probably getting a decent buy all the way around, to be honest with you. Now, what would I buy? Now, right now, the market's a little skittish. So I generally would try to lean into bigger cap, lower risk, plus coins that probably fell a bit more. So like I mentioned, Cardano. And you would ask, well, CQF, what about something like Ripple, XRP? I don't know what it's called these days. What do you do? Why not buy that? And the answer is, I probably will, but today is not the day. And this is where I actually listen to my model. And frankly, I trust it. And I trust it more than my own kind of gut intuition, because systematic discipline is the way to go. And that's honestly, if just the financial investment industry is very systematic and disciplined. So me straying far away from my my model, honestly, I'd lose confidence. And that's less confidence I have, the more likely I'll make a mistake. But Ripple, for me, is still kind of down here. It's 68th percentile. So it's kind of boosted its way back up because it's taking a beating. And my instinct would be it's going to move up quite a bit the next couple of days. So I wouldn't be shocked if I actually buy Ripple maybe Wednesday, maybe tomorrow, Tuesday, but possibly Wednesday, just depending on what happens. But it's just not quite there yet for me. There's Sia coin. That's a coin I took a lot of profits on a couple of days ago. So that's pretty good. But whether you're looking at like Cardano, IOTA, icons down here, Litecoin, NEM, I mean, they're all little better coins, I would say, to own right now, especially the really big ones like Litecoin, Cardano. NEM is actually pretty low risk. So if you're scared of the market, that's certainly kind of how I would dip my toe into the altcoin market. If you wanted a bit more upside, actually, I would throw Pundi in that argument too before. It's not a big cap, but it's been sitting around 22, 23 sats. So it's probably not going to crash too much. I don't know exactly where it's at right now, but I wouldn't expect it to get down to like 15 sats or anything crazy. Now, if you wanted more upside, you see Ethereum up here too. Sorry about that, guys. I mentioned before, I don't actually buy Ethereum directly. It's a proxy for most alts, so I kind of ignore it. If you wanted something that's a bit more high upside, like a loop ring like I have, Matrix AI network certainly would fit that bill. Salt too, kind of fit that. Golem a little bit as well. So there's definitely plays on both sides. It just depends on your own view. It kind of how much risk you want to take. Me, I'm kind of a blend guy, but right now I would say overall my buys are tilted towards being a little bit lower risk than what I usually am. I know I don't actually go through this enough, but performance, that some people ask about it, and how's it going, where can I see what it's doing, et cetera. And it's on this tab in my spreadsheet. So definitely check it out. You can see performance literally day by day. And if you really wanted to, you can do the math yourself, and it should be exact. So I'm not fudging any of this. I want to be as transparent as humanly possible. So you can check this out. So basically, the top 10 and the 10 to 25%. This would be what I would consider the coins you should typically hold. Now, I generally like to buy a little bit higher up, but I'm totally willing to buy in the 10 to 25% range if need be. And although I'll hold all the way down to the bottom half. So even in this 25 to 50% zone, I'll hold because I don't want too much turnover. But you can see the performance differential. So if you just look at 2018, that's this row. The top 10 is actually up. This is in US dollar terms, by the way, 43%. The 10 to 25 is down 55, 25 to 50, 68. So 80 down 81, 95, 99. So what's actually good about the model is it's doing precisely what you think it should do. As things are rated lower and lower, the performance is worse and worse. So that's why I certainly try to, buy the top where I can. But the second and third tiers aren't too bad. And then you can literally look day by day. So I mentioned today on Twitter that yesterday, the 24th, was basically every type of coin fell almost equally. This is what I mean. So the universe fell about 4%. That's in column D right here. I'll kind of zoom if I can. I'll hold off. I was looking for something. But yeah, so the universe was down 4%. The model, the top 10 was down a little less than that. The 10 to 25 was down 3.5, and basically everything was down 3.5, 4, 5. So what that tells me is the sell-off was just across the board. No matter what type of coin you bought, it didn't matter. It was going to fall basically 3 to 5%. Of course, you can find kind of one-off events where it did really well or extremely poorly, but generally you're going to get about a 4-ish% loss, whether you bought big caps, small caps, privacy coins, platforms, didn't really matter. You're going to lose about that. And that's going to happen occasionally. So even my model is not going to be able to pick up differentiation every single day. But then, you look at the previous 2 days and it dominated. So like on September 23rd, the model was up about 4%. The crypto universe was up 2%. And the shittiest of all coins, it was actually down 0.43. I did better than 3.89. I was up like 5. And the day before, the market was down. The model did a little bit better than that. It was only down 1. The shittiest of all coins was down 4. So it's not every day it's going to win. But the point is to have a consistent, disciplined, systematic process. Whether you utilize my model or utilize your own TA or your own fundamental, it actually, a lot of ways, it doesn't necessarily matter, to be honest with you. It's having a good process and consistently following it. The worst thing you can do would be to switch your process, especially when the bullets start flying. That's actually when you need to trust all the prep you've done, all the work you've done beforehand, and the confidence that you should have in your process at that point. So that's why I'm actually okay right now, even though Bitcoin's 64.50, whatever it is right now. You know what? I got a fairly robust process. It's going to work over time. So things are going good. If you guys have any coins you'd like me to talk about, I will happy to take a quick look. Okay. So I got a question. Is there a reason why the signal moves a lot within 24 hours, ADA negative 0.493 to 0.434? So the biggest short-term kind of movement you can get, ADA is actually a little bit higher in terms of where it's at. Sorry, I'm bounced around, but right now the signal is 1.962, so it's really, really high. So what can make it move a lot in a short period of time is actually what it's done over the past couple of days. So the model is built with some factors that are very slow moving, as in how much liquidity the coin has, or how much risk the coin has, or how much the coin has been beaten down. Those things take a while to move. Then you kind of have like a medium-term signal, which is momentum. So how has the coin done over the past 2 to 3 weeks, give or take? That would be momentum. But then you also have a reversal effect, which is actually the strongest effect that there is in crypto right now, which basically says if a coin has done awesome over the past day or two, it is generally going to do not so good over the next couple days. So when a coin does really well, that's why you can actually see me trade intraday. Is if I see a coin and I just randomly check Binance or something, and I sort all the coins on Binance, and if one of my coins is number 1 or number 2, I know it's going to fade. So I don't necessarily need to wait until my model runs to actually start taking profits. Now, if you actually follow me on Twitter, I actually asked if anyone could help me with a bot. And a bot I'm looking for is something that will sell coins if it exceeds a certain percent outperformance of the market. So say 20%. So if the market's up 5%, then set sell orders of it, that particular coin being up 25%. Because that's really what the reversal effect's all about. It's not if it's up whatever percent, but how much is up above and beyond what other coins are doing. So something like ADA, it was down well above what most coins were down at. I think at the end of the day, it was down like 13, 14%. So that reversal effect actually means it should do pretty well over the next day or two. Now, remember, well is pure relative. I know I'm being quite boring here, but that means it's very important. It doesn't mean it's going to go up. And I know that sounds kind of shitty to some of you, but the point of the model is to beat the other coins. So when I say do well, if the market goes down another 10, I'm hoping Cardano would only go down 5. So it's kind of irrespective of the market. If the market goes up, I expect Cardano to outperform and catch back up and reclaim the 13, 14% it's lost. So coins that are very their longer term numbers aren't really powerful, then their short term stuff can actually really dominate their rankings. So that's why you might see a coin or two kind of bounce in and out here and there. So hopefully that answered your question, but certainly the short term reversals are pretty huge. TRX. All right. So let me actually pull something up here for you guys. Just give me 1 sec. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. I'm actually, I just made a new logo today. I'm trying to get this a little bit more, I don't want to say formal, but a little more professional where I can. So hopefully you like it, and I'll be making some more educational videos coming up. So keep an eye out for all that. All right, sorry, added the wrong thing. All right, just letting it paste here. Here we go. So TRX, it's about the 38th percentile. So I don't own it, but if I would own it, I wouldn't be, if I did own it, I wouldn't be selling it. So it's actually not bad. I would actually put this in the, crap. Sometimes I forget Google Docs is actually not my doc. But yeah, if I own TRX, I'd be happy to hold it. It's also one of those coins that should hold up a little bit better. And this is where kind of use some common sense too. Here it actually says it's higher risk, but that's mainly because certain periods of time it's moved quite a bit. But generally in the day-to-day moves of crypto, it's a lot less risk than other coins. So if I owned it, I'd be okay holding it, at least for now. It has pretty good momentum too, so that's something that should be on its side, especially if the market stabilizes a bit. Okay, we got NEO on here. I actually don't have it on my sheet, so let me just paste it real fast. Any of you guys NFL fans? Actually, I was very confident the Bucs were going to come back, but they just couldn't pull it out. It was kind of depressing, but that's all right. So NEO here, it's kind of the same story as TRX, honestly. Kind of big cap, safer. Here, you're actually seeing the safety here. This is a row 51. If you guys can see it, I'm going to make sure it's showing up. Yep. So row 51 here, it's a little bit safer, which honestly, I think that's exactly what you want in this time period. And there's nothing that really looks bad here. Its valuation is about average, momentum about average, and its reversals a little down. So if you're asking if is it a good buy, would I go out and buy it right now? Personally, no. I would actually put my money in something like Cardano, kind of similar realm of coin, but a much more attractive coin. And really the reason why actually comes down to momentum. So they're actually side by side here. Cardano is on row 53. You can see the reversal is about the same. Valuation is about the same. Risk is NEO's a little bit less risky, but the big difference is momentum, and momentum is big. So you kind of combine Cardano getting beaten down with good performance over the past couple of weeks. If you're talking like a platform type coin, I mean that's where I'd lean right now. But given it's ranked 30th percentile, hey, if you own NEO, there's nothing wrong with holding it right now. And it's a good long-term fundamental project too. So I'm just talking next week or two. If you want to own it for the next 6 months or so, I'd have no problems with NEO. Oh yeah, thank you for the comment on the logo. I'm trying to get there, and I'll make my live streams a little bit better. I just couldn't sleep because of the damn bucks. So annoying, but that's neither here nor there. So I'll show you what I was talking about with Ripple here. So the story with Ripple is actually pretty interesting. So you have reversal is actually pretty positive here because it got absolutely hammered today. Its momentum is obviously off the charts. But here, what's really hurting Ripple right now is its valuation. So I was actually wrong in my assessment 5 minutes ago, but its valuation is what's really hurting it. And what that means, it's actually closer to its upside target, if you want to call it that, than most coins. And that's frankly because it's pumped quite a bit over the past week or so. So there's just not as much upside to be had at this point in time. So there's actually a decent chance I won't be buying it, to be totally honest, because something like that is not going to correct itself unless Ripple keeps falling. Whereas something like reversals, momentum, that's certainly something that could change over a couple of days to a week or so. But here's like Litecoin, what I was talking about, very low risk. So if you want to kind of dip your toe into the alt water right now, that's a pretty safe coin to do so. If the market tanks, it'll do a little bit worse than Bitcoin, but it's not gonna, at least it shouldn't, plummet nearly as far as some other coins. But like if you want to talk, high risk, you have HOT. That's certainly a coin that you're either gonna, hit it or you're gonna strike out. So personally, I usually tend to avoid those coins unless the setup is really nice. And I don't think the setup's gonna be very nice for HOT for some time. Doesn't mean it's not going to have some random pumps in it here and there, but I mean, you can look at like its momentum is kind of faded. So it's kind of day in the sun has gone by, has really weak valuation, and it's incredibly risky. That's an awful combination to have personally. Out of the 3 factors I care about the most, those 3 would actually be the ones I personally care about the most, even though I probably trade off the reversals the most. All right, so next question, you want to buy some Bitcoin soon. Should I wait for 6K? So I can tell you my personal Bitcoin philosophy, what I've been doing recently. You don't have to listen to me in any way. I'm not giving anybody advice or anything like that, but I've been buying in the low 6,000s, not quite 6K, but like 61, 62, with a small amount of leverage. And as it kind of cycles its way back up, I trim that and I let some of it ride, basically. So I'm kind of building a solid low cost basis in the 6,000s. I'm very excited about that because I think 6,000 is a great support. Yeah. And frankly, if we hit 20K, 30K, 40K in 2-3 years, I'd be loving to hold some 6K Bitcoin. That being said, we're at 6,400 now, so it depends. Are we going to go back to 61? Maybe. I'm not the super short term guy, especially with a price target. If your horizon is a day or two, then I certainly would hold off. But if your horizon, you're looking a little bit longer term with your Bitcoin. So just a heads up, I'm a bit more tactical when it comes to my altcoins and a bit more longer term when it comes to my Bitcoin. So my Bitcoin, I'm looking 1, 2, 3 years out generally. So 6,400 is an awesome buy in Bitcoin, period. In terms of risk versus reward, if you buy Bitcoin spot market at 6,400, I would personally feel very, very, very confident you'll make some money at some point within the next year, more than the stock market, put it that way. A short, you know what? Like, you just got to be able to close it out on time. Do I think we'll go low in 6,400? Sure, I do. But there's a lot more things to have to go right with your short. Not only do you have to have a good entry, you actually have to price to go down, and you actually have to close it. We're long. You can honestly buy here and forget about Bitcoin and go do whatever the heck you like to do. Come back in a year, and it should be pretty good. ETH. So what's interesting is my model actually likes it. So it's very similar to Bitcoin, honestly, when it comes here. So to me, it depends on your fundamental story with Ethereum. So if you're looking at this, Ethereum is going to be the top dog when it comes to platforms. Buying 220, 225, 230 is an awesome buy if that's what you think. But if you're just trying to do a short-term flip, especially with high leverage, I would, this is kind of no man's land for me for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. So it really depends on your horizon. If the time to short both Ethereum and Bitcoin, I'll talk on Bitcoin prices, but the time to short was a handful of hours ago when Bitcoin broke 6,600. And I posted that on Twitter. The range I was looking at was 66 to 68. So that was the time to short. The time to short's not now. Neither Bitcoin or Ethereum. There's just not much reward there, any longer. But in terms of buy, it's still kind of sketchy, to be honest with you. So if I was looking to buy a short-term move, I would wait till another, call it 2-3% down. Another question in regards to EOS. Well, since you're the same guy or gal that asked about Ethereum, this is where kind of portfolio construction and portfolio management come to play. It's a good argument to be made. One of those are going to become the dominant kind of platform type coin. I'm not a psychic, so I can't necessarily tell you. I think Ethereum has a huge network advantage. A lot of projects are already on it. So I think it's going to be generally hard to catch up. However, EOS has a ton of money involved, so never necessarily count it out. And there's an element of diversification. So if I was more of a long-term buyer, which is kind of your question, what would I do in terms of my platform coin bucket? I would put the majority in Ethereum, and I would spread the rest out, amongst a few. I actually think, personally, I think some of the under the radar coins that can do damage in the DApp space are the ones where DApps are kind of their secondary purpose. So whether you're looking at like a VeChain or even like an Icon, things like that, where they should actually be able to build and scale doing other things, and then with that platform be able to have some DApps on there. So I think they actually have a cleaner path to longevity than even something like EOS. Basically, EOS is not in my long-term portfolio, but things like VeChain, Icon are. I'll actually let you guys know what I hold right now in my short-term tactical portfolio, just so you can keep tabs on me and make sure I'm not lying or doing anything crazy. This is actually way more than I typically hold. but it's kind of a fluky market, so I want to be a bit more diversified. So still own quite a bit of Pundi. Like I mentioned before, I sold a lot of Bitcoin, but I actually added a little bit back, but much smaller position. I own iOS token, Cardano, Yo-Yo W. I don't know if I even said that right. Which honestly, I hate coins with ridiculous names. That's just a pet peeve of me. But you know what? Like I said, I just want to trust the model here. I own some app coins. That's actually a coin. I could sell, but since I actually am holding some Bitcoin, I'll figure I'll let that ride. I own some Ardor, that's some Ethos, Loopring, Polymath, Golem, Salt, Eternity, Nebulous, IOTA, PIVX, Ontology, Wanchain, Populous, Qtum, Lisk, and Omise Go. That is my mix of my tactical portfolio. I own some others long term as well, but like I'm not including those guys like the icons and BNBs, etc. Another question that I sold some Litecoin. Am I bearish on it long term? Long term, I actually am, to be honest with you. In terms of the model, though, I'll buy anything if the model tells me to buy it. I trust that way more, like I mentioned before, than my own intuition or my own fundamental work. Plus, the horizons are different. My problem with Litecoin is just like the analogy is, it's silver to Bitcoin's gold. I don't necessarily think we need a silver to Bitcoin's gold, especially if we're going to eventually have, my opinion, kind of one dominant currency with a bunch of other utility type coins, if you want to call it that. So what can actually compete with Bitcoin, in my opinion, are things that can do something a little bit different than Bitcoin, or at least be able to carve a niche alongside of Bitcoin, whether you're talking privacy coins, Monero, etc., or just potentially interesting, faster, cheaper tech like Nano. Something like Litecoin is just too much like Bitcoin. I don't really see a huge use for it in the long run, honestly. But during the last bull run, a lot of people used it as a liquidity coin. So basically, you couldn't really transfer Bitcoin very quickly because of it was just the traffic. So people would actually sell into Litecoin and be able to transfer the Litecoin around. But that's just like a one-off fluke. And ultimately, I think Bitcoin will solve those problems. And if not, then maybe Litecoin has an opening, but still, I don't see how it can out Bitcoin. I think that's the best way I can explain it. If anyone's going to compete or beat Bitcoin, it's not going to be by being a better Bitcoin than Bitcoin. I mentioned, yep, the halvening. I can't even say that right. I'm terrible, but I should have helped the price for Litecoin and Bitcoin a year later. That should, sure, but any altcoin, which Litecoin is one, is going to be beholden to overall market cycles. So right now, Litecoin is kind of a lower beta, less risk altcoin, which is a little bit more risky than Bitcoin. In the next year, especially with that event, perhaps it's going to do a little better than what it's been doing, but it's still not going to change its profile away from being a lower risk kind of baby brother to Bitcoin. But it's not honestly, it's, if your thesis to holding it is I want exposure to altcoins, but I don't want, high flying, super risky coin, or a coin in a kind of untested or kind of risky sector, whether you're talking even like privacy coins, you have government risk, or platforms, who knows if they're ever really going to be able to scale or even get users, and kind of go down the line. Exchange coins, same thing. You can even argue what's the kind of the point besides lowering fees. You can kind of go down the line where Litecoin actually has a time-tested use. So if you're not as bearish on it long term as I am, I can understand the hold. Next question is Monero the best proof of work coin after Bitcoin? I guess it depends on what do you mean by best. So that's kind of tricky. I think Monero is a coin that's kind of carved out its niche. So it's kind of here to stay. The biggest risk, in my opinion, with any privacy coin is government regulation. That can really kind of hurt it and kind of push it deep into, call it the dark web, whatever you want to call it, which so it'll have its use, but in terms of an investment, maybe not so much. Although I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So I think it's a fine coin. It's actually pretty low risk, all things considered. So it's actually a pretty decent buy. And if you're actually mining it, it's pretty good too. All right, guys. I think that's all the questions today. If you guys have any suggestions about any topics, educational topics or trading topics or risk management topics, portfolio management, anything like that, just let me know and I'll be happy to either make a video or send you some materials that I have in my library. I pretty much have everything covered, so feel free to let me know if you have anything that you'd like to learn about. Happy to help you. So, all right, guys, but just good luck out there. Just remember to stay disciplined. Like I mentioned before, I'm feeling pretty good. Last time Bitcoin was at this price, I'm up about 10% in BTC due to some altcoin trades. So I'm thinking that's going to continue, going to be able to kind of pick up some wins here and there. And the big thing is just, I don't expect anyone to follow this model religiously. It's not advice, so certainly don't do that. But, if you see your coins pumping, especially abnormal pumps, certainly be willing and able to take profits. But also do not be scared to buy things that are down, especially down for no big reason. So there's a big difference between being down because it pumped, 100%, now it's down 30%. That's not the type of dump I'm talking about, but a dump that, just been hanging out, chilling, kind of doing the average, and all of a sudden you find it at the bottom of the, the worst 10 coins or something. Those are the coins be certainly willing to buy because generally they bounce back, and that's how you can pick up a few percent here and there. So anyways, guys, here's to a good Tuesday. I'm actually thinking the market will probably stay the same and maybe creep back up over 6,500, but who knows? When you're in a range, anything can happen. So you all take care, and I will talk to you later.